5 team objective tips for beginners. As we have done the same video earlier, but we have talked about the tips on defense, now we're going to talk about the tips on offense and for the beginner. Choose your weapon wisely. Each class and weapon is built for a different role, and they all play differently. If you're still new to the game, say under level 50, it's a good idea to start with the faster weapons that are easier to handle and learn. One-handed weapons, longsword, are actually good for getting warm up to the game, especially on offense. But if you're mildly experienced like haven't 100 or 200 hour or so, you now know the maps and you can start to guess which weapons serve more than others in different situations. If you're trying to cross a narrow bridge with your team where it's a fight with fronts, then you can select weapons with reach like Executioner Axe, Great Sword, Halberd, etc. This will make easier for your team to push up since it hits multiple enemies and also will enable you to hold the line with less men. And defensive, long and slow weapons are also favored when you're trying to push an objective and you want to be the bulk up for your army and let others do the lurking and flanking. If you're fighting on an empty, open field, usually one-on-one, any weapon which is good for dealing will work for you. But if there's still some wedges small group fighting formed in different pockets, you may still want to have long reach weapons to keep your safe distance to avoid getting hit by right or left. That being said though, on offense, focus more on killing rather than surviving. Don't play your don't play for your kill and death ratio if you want to play for the win. This is more important if you're a high level player, because if you won't assume the responsibility on your shoulders and lead your team, well, then who will? Choose your class wisely. As for the classes, some classes favor newbies. Guardian on Knight class and Raider on Vanguard class are beginner friendly classes. Vanguard has good stamina and 2 main weapon slots which will help you keep on the fight. Guardian on the other hand has a heavy shield which negates most of the stamina damage and lasts very long without breaking. Since you're a beginner and you don't know how to countering, these two will help a lot. For players who are more experienced, it depends on the map, what you want to do, and what is required of you. For example, on Mount Crux, Crusader, Devastator and Guardian are very good choices on offense. They have oil pots which can be used strategically, especially when you need to open the gates of the inner castle. The enemy spawn point is very close to the objective, so you need to buy time, since the holding high ground, which you've spent nearly a minute reaching, won't be easy. No matter how many kills you have get or how long you survive, you can still find yourself easily outnumbered there. So it's wise to burn the door and the enemy will be coming from. Most of the time, the enemy will still choose to come through despite the flames, but at least it'll be easier for you to deal with them since they're burning. A couple of well coordinated oil pots help a lot. You can basically throw them on any map where enemies are coming through a narrow point, or use them to disrupt and create chaos among the enemy lines while the pressure is on. They're also useful in small objective rooms that you need to either protect or take over. Most of the time, oil pots may not look like they're doing much, but they're more effective than they seem. About the other uses of oil pots, you can easily burn the VIPs. A VIP hiding in the corner behind his man, throw a couple of oil pots with your team. Now he'll either have to move from his safe spot, or at the very least you'll create some chaos and distraction among his men. This may not sound like much to you, but take note that very minor differences often decide who the winner is, unless the teams are horribly balanced. And about the Guardian, his banner is unique. but it's mostly used on defense and it's more effective when a couple of banners are placed together. That being said, there are many maps, even on offense, where you actually need to defend too. These can be very slow moving battlefronts, areas that need to be held, or situations where your team's spawn location is much further than the enemy. Spawn locations and the corresponding strategy. You should be aware of the fact that on attack, spawn locations are usually closer. This means attacking relentlessly and causing casualties is more favorable than focusing on survival, because the enemy won't be replacing their own men as quickly as you do. Plus, relentless attacks can fail again and again, but a single successful attempt can make you advance. On the other hand, defense usually has no room for such mistakes or failure. So chaos is your friend. Attack relentlessly and don't be afraid of dying or ruining your sweet kill and death ratio. But spawn locations don't always favor you. That's where actually the fun part begins for the attacking side. Because now you do have to perform better and play trickier. If your spawn location is very far away, you need to try to focus on survive more than getting some kills. Because now pure chaos doesn't favor you. You need kills, aggressiveness, but in a form of which can cause a sudden breakthrough rather than random kills. You need discipline and concentration and try to kill as much as fast as possible without dying. Well, that's no easy task. Read the flow of battle and numbers. Getting outnumbered is usually a concern for the defending team, but you can still find yourself outnumbered if you're playing on a difficult map as the attacker, trying to claim an area that's easy to defend, or simply facing a stronger enemy team. What to do? Well, if you've noticed that your team is easily getting outnumbered and can't hold the ground despite repeat attempts, your team might be stuck in a loop of attacking the enemy only partially because half of the team is either dead or still on their way. This kind of loop often happens when the enemy is killing your teammates too quickly, preventing you from concentrating your full force in a single committed attack to cause a breakthrough. For this kind of situation, you and your team need to be aware of how many men are guarding the area and how many of you are still alive. If you're outnumbered, don't just rush and die. Wait for your teammates so you can launch a full force, concentrated attack that can break through even the most unshakable defenses. Focus on the good, experienced players. This is especially important for the guys who have an oil pot ready or for archers with sharp aim. One good player alone won't wipe your whole team, but he can definitely save the day for his team if you give him enough space and opportunity. You can either pick out one of the top names on the scoreboard or recognize them by their skin, often more distinct than others, and target him, flank him, shoot him with arrows, throw knives at him, heck throw an anvil at his head, or simply burn him. Whatever you do, don't let him stay alive, and don't let him 1 versus 1 your regular teammate. Because when outnumbered, even the best players eventually die, but if they stay alive and you give them enough chances to repeatedly 1-on-1, they'll kill multiple enemies quickly. As for the good players on your team, you can also spot them by their names on the scoreboard, their skin, or their level. You can choose to stick with them and play like their companion, protect them, stay by their side, and don't let them get outnumbered easily. If they're really good, keeping them alive can benefit your team more than you might expect. Okay guys, thank you for listening this far, and that was all from me today. I know there can be said more and there may be things which I forget to mention. Feel free to share your own insights on comments too, and please like and support if you want more of this kind of videos. See you later, stay safe.